I'm back here. We're in my living room in a slightly different angle from the last time. And I wanted to talk about something that I'd been sitting on a bit this last weekend. I will be moving at the end of this year to another country. And so something that has been sitting on my brain a little bit is the idea of community and communities that we are a part of, that we create and that we sort of leave behind in some way. I believe the better way to say that would be, instead of leave behind, is maybe change our relationship to, because I don't think that, at least in my case, I want to be in the business of leaving things behind necessarily. But I was thinking about this in light of the move, in light of a number of day-to-day decisions that I've been thinking about this way, in terms of choosing something at the exclusion of something else. So obviously, if one is moving, for example, you are choosing a whole other literal place and set of things, people, whatever, in lieu of whatever you have going on now. And I think that a smaller version of that decision is present kind of every day in a lot of different ways, right? Like, you choose the job that you choose at the exclusion of something else. You choose the friends that you choose at the exclusion of something else, or like the time that you spend with those friends. Something really simple as an example is like this coming Wednesday, like everyone and their mother, literally, and their mother wants to do some things. There's some kind of plan. I have some kind of commitment that I could have, and I can only choose one realistically, right? Because there are only so many hours in the day, and especially if people want to do stuff in the same exact set of hours, you do have to be sort of, decisive about what that looks like. And so is it, what drives that decision? Do you go for the plan with family? Do you go for the plan with this friend or that one, or, whatever? And like, how do you, what side of that do you come down on, and how do you do that? Inevitably, any which way that you slice it, it is at the exclusion of something else. The final decision excludes the other possibilities. And so there's so many different paths I feel like you could take in this topic, or following this line of thinking, but I wanted to think a little bit more about maybe my history with moving, like physically moving, and communities, and what that has felt like in my brain. I've mentioned before, I have ADHD, and I also hate saying that sentence because it sounds sort of strange. It's just like, this is the best word, I guess, to describe the way that my brain is structured and works. I don't have an issue, or I don't consider it that way. Again, probably you could make hours and hours of content talking about that. Many people have, many people will. But the long and short of it, for the purpose of this topic, is that's how my brain works, I guess, is the best way to describe it. And so part of the thing that comes with that is this idea that a lot of people have talked about on lots of platforms, this idea of object permanence. And obviously we all have object permanence past infant time. Object permanence is just, something exists even if you can't see it. But the way this relates to ADHD is when something isn't immediately in front of you, you do sort of forget that it is there. It's not that you think it doesn't exist, you just sort of forget. It slips your mind. Out of sight, out of mind is, I think, the best way to say that. And I think that happens to most everyone to some degree, in some aspect of their life, in some, way on the day-to-day, that's okay. But it is multiplied times a lot. For folks with brains that are set up like mine. So I think it is not difficult to understand why this whole concept, this whole relationship of things stresses me out, because if I'm staring down the barrel of moving again, there is some worry and some stress of how does one honor those relationships and communities that you were a part of before? How do you keep that up, and especially in my case, where I'm moving to, I don't know that I will be there forever either. I don't know that there's any kind of certainty of oh, this will be the place that I should put roots down, whatever that means, and really kind of develop a more stable community. And I think as I get older, I am starting to crave that more, like having that answer, and also feeling really challenged to be open to not having that answer, and like open to having life kind of show you what that might look like. But I just feel a little bit nervous about it, and I wonder how folks maybe conceptualize this same exact thing. Like, I mean, people move all the time. Again, I've moved all the time, but I wonder, is this facility with which we can all move nowadays more productive or more hurtful? Like, where is that fine line? You know, like, where is the line at all, whether it's fine or clear or blurry? Like, is there a line? I think with most things, the answer is always like, it depends. And it depends on the person, it depends on the context, depends on what your priorities are, right? I don't foresee myself moving around indefinitely for the rest of my life. I think that I definitely want to know my local, I don't know, barista or whatever, and like know the person that walks their dog at the same time that I go out running, or I want that. I want those little things that really make you feel like you're a part of the world around you. And I think the only way, obviously, to have that is to choose that and put the time and energy into that at the exclusion of everything else. And I think that's what makes those decisions so much harder and so much more, like, they weigh so much more in my brain. They're so much more intense because you are sort of trading off certain possibilities for this thing that you also value. So there's a lot of fear of the unknown, as is the human condition. But I think while it has been really lovely to create the community that I have here, I am really excited to see what kind of community I can create in a different country. Since I've seen what I can do in sort of different cities here in the States, I can only imagine what being somewhere else might look like. So I'd love to know how other people feel about this. And again, I think I could go on about a lot of different things in here, and probably a more structured way, and in more depth. So I think it would be nice to hear what was interesting to any of you, or stuff that maybe you've been thinking about along the same lines and how you've dealt with them. But I hope you're doing well. I hope your week is off to a good start, and I'd love to know what you think. So thanks for listening again for another little while, and I will see you again next week.